Oh, well, listen, this is a very important topic because, you know, when Asha Dullabh is here, we really unpack things. So as we celebrate the 150th year of, well, the 150th year of the existence of Mzansi social activist Charlotte Maxeke under the theme of realizing women's rights, it's a pertinent time for us to also take stock of the state of women's rights and gender equality in society, as well as examine the need for feminism in this endeavor. Now, today we are asking the question, why do we need feminism in the fight for gender equality? We have clinical psychologist Asha Dullabh here to help us unpack and answer these questions. And we're also taking your questions on social media, so please head on over to the Expresso Facebook page and you can leave your questions and comments there. Good morning, Asha.
Morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Fantastic. Look, this is something I always love to get a part of when it comes to the conversation. I don't think it's only just about women. I love to hear this too. And before I even look at the historical role of feminism in society, maybe just to start the conversation off by defining what is feminism actually? Because I know a lot of people out there aren't actually aware of that. So how would you define it?
So feminism is an advocacy of human's rights. I always want to say human rights, but it's women's rights and access to opportunities and the fight or the making the awareness of that, you know. So that is what feminism is. That's the feminism movement.
Okay. And in terms of history, why has it been so important for this to be even a thing? Yeah,
I think that when we look at feminism, we need to look at it from the perspective of which country have we been brought up in or grown up, because that really will dictate how we look at feminism. If I think about feminism in South Africa, I would like to perhaps talk about it in waves, you know, like if the first wave was, you know, just women trying to get their basic rights of being able to vote, and the past laws and going right back in history. And then, you know, the second wave would probably be about just the political representation of women, women in the workforce, you know, just having those access to those opportunities. And perhaps third wave, we are probably looking at, you know, the current issues facing women: domestic violence, sexual harassment, equal pay. And of course, there are many variances, or let's call it mutations, to feminism, you know, that comes out as we evolve as individuals, as a nation. We'll see different aspects coming out on feminism. So it's evolutionary.
It is, and it's such important conversations to have, because the feminist movement also faces its own challenges. There are a lot of detractors that say it's anti-men. Why is that view so dangerous to the feminist movement?
Yeah, it's dangerous because, just like Raul said, you know, he's so intrigued to know about it because it's perceived as feminine. I think that the word feminine holds so much energy. It's almost like, if you think about feminine, one would think it's more of a feminine perspective, and there's just a lack of education. I mean, even a male can be a feminist, and it's just about equality, equal rights, equal opportunities, access. But I think that the word feminine, if you think about it, holds a lot of kind of a connotation as maybe a preference for women in a way.
Maybe I can add to that, because it does initially give this element of, I would say, intimidation, because there's this weird perception that you could get caught up in thinking it's them versus us. And I'm using the narrative of women versus men. The minute the word feminism comes through, a lot of guys think, oh, like, it's not for me, like, get guarded, you got to get ready for this. But I love what you're saying there, and especially the fact that it doesn't need to be that way, number one. And I think the fact that we need to get educated on it, it's a powerful word, yes, but it's an important one, and it's something that we really need to understand. And I love these conversations. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing right now. Of course, Asha won't be going anywhere. We do need feminism in our fight for gender equality. Now, we're going to discuss this and a lot more with Asha Dullabh, so don't go anywhere.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back, beautiful souls. It's Monday, of course, and we're still continuing an incredible conversation with the specialist, Asha Dullabh. Now, with Monday, we talk about relationships, and today we are asking, why do we need feminism in the fight for gender equality? Now, Asha Dullabh was unpacking a little bit bit about this before the break, and we're continuing that discussion right now, and something that definitely is so important. One thing that strikes me is some of the challenges being faced when it comes to feminism and really asserting what this means. Why do you see these challenges even arising, and what are some of these challenges we're currently facing right now?
I think the greatest challenge is our beliefs. So it's about really trying to understand our beliefs, going into a deep inquiry about it, and also allowing other people to believe what they want to believe without kind of having this knee-jerk reaction to our conditioned mindsets. Remember that feminism relates directly to our direct experience in life, not by basic stats or science or data. So it's really about connecting to what was our past, what's our religions, what's our traditions that come into play all the time. And I think feminism is showing up that we are moving beyond our traditional narratives, and we need to just look beyond that. How is it shaping us now as humans individually and collectively?
So with that, I mean, it's kind of like an opportunity, I guess, to redefine that narrative, so to speak. And I think with anything, this world we live in and the current period we're in, what better time to do it than now? And especially with the ingested energy of Women's Month. I mean, Mzansi, let's get on board with this. Why not?
Definitely. And Asha, from a global perspective, how is South Africa doing with regards to its women's rights, its gender equality? Are we on par with the international standard? Are we perhaps leading the way in any way?
I think that we've come a long way, but there's still, we are evolutionary by nature, so there's going to be changes, there's going to be struggles that will come up as we evolve as human beings. I mean, if you just think about technology, how it's actually leveling the playing fields when it comes to work and pay, and there's a lot of evolvement happening, so it's difficult to give a very clear mark on what will prevail, because there's the psyche of the individual, but the psyche of the collective and the world that is at play.
I like what you're talking about, especially when you mention the psyche, and especially when you mention discrepancies in pay. Now, something I've noticed, and we talk about on the show all the time, when it comes to sport, when it comes to competitions, when it comes to an individual just being as qualified as a male in the exact same role, why are they not getting paid the same amount? And what is this actually doing to a woman's psyche by actually practicing this? What is going on?
It definitely does affect a woman's sense of identity and self-worth and confidence. It has an overall impact on one's psychological well-being, our mental well-being, our physical well-being. So it actually extends to our overall state of being, you know. So it's again just the mindset of the narrative of gender roles and our beliefs. And what is a belief? A belief is a thought that we keep thinking, and as long as we keep thinking the thought, we're not going to get out of that belief. So if we just sort of think about it, and you know, a great speaker once said, sometimes we just need to flip the thought and see and test it and see, you know, how does it look? And sometimes we would laugh at ourselves at just the names that we put to certain categories and the way we label, and you know, the male is the provider, the female is the nurturer. And what if we swap that, flip it and test it? How does it look? Is it okay? So it extends to...
Would we be okay with it? That was the question.
That's the biggest question. How are we going to respond to that? Will we feel okay?
I know we still have one more moment with Asha. She's not going anywhere. I do know that these changes also need to happen from an institutional level. So we'll connect with Asha again. So if you have any comments or questions, please head on over to our Expresso Facebook page, because we are not going anywhere.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Take a deep breath, because you're about to absorb some more vital information with Asha Dullabh, of course. It's Monday, and we're still carrying on the conversation about relationships. And today we're asking the question of why we need feminism in the fight for gender equality. And of course, Asha Dullabh has been here to unpack so much about this topic, and we are still here to weigh in on more of this conversation. But of course, you can come through with your questions and comments on Facebook, and you can reach Asha Dullabh on her Instagram page as well, as she'll be doing a lot of online learning, assisting, and anything else that you may need help with. So you can find her there get to. But back to this important conversation about feminism.
That's right. And, you know, earlier, before we finished our last conversation, I did ask, you know, when it comes to gender equality, that needs to start at an institutional level. Now, Asha, from a what can government do perspective, how can they help us basically make sure that South Africa can reach that target?
I would say education, starting right into our education system, teaching kids, and education from a parental perspective as well, you know, just teaching parents about just stereotype gender roles. So I think education on a whole just creates the higher sense of awareness, knowledge, respect and understanding of humanity at large.
Oh, I love that. Now, we're talking about feminism, and it seems almost like somewhat of a powerful tool, not something that creates negativity like many might perceive, and there's nothing to be intimidated by either. Gents, don't worry, we're all good, we're on the same side here, which I think is important. But how can it be used further to, I think, assist with what currently, in my opinion, is an inequality when it comes to women's rights, as well as the roles we're playing in society? How can feminism assist in eradicating this and equaling the playing field?
I think the greatest advantage of this feminism movement is the awareness, is just continuously creating the awareness and the understanding of one's, as I said, beliefs, our conditioned mindset, and also just understanding about people's suffering and struggles and pains without judging too much on other people, just sort of really listening and taking in what the narratives are, because feminism itself has a narrative, and we all have our own narratives, and they interplay with each other. So just becoming aware, it's a great tool for great awareness.
Well, other than awareness and, you know, each of us playing our parts, what do you think still needs to be done in order for us to actually say there is 100% gender equality?
Sure. I think...
Long list.
Yes, it is a long list. It's a very... it's a long question. There's no short answer to it. But I think it's just looking at our conditioned mind and just looking at our beliefs and really just questioning. I think there's such power in questioning everything. You know, just ask oneself, you know, how do I feel about this? Why is it that I have a viewpoint of a certain aspect about male or female? I think that we should move beyond just women's rights or male rights. It's about human rights. And that's important. Let's go right back to humanity and the basic human rights and respect for each other. Respect is the utmost, everybody wants to experience that.
Yeah.
Oh, I absolutely love it. I'm learning, I'm growing as I continue to just listen to you. I think for me, and as a guy, what it means is, again, it was something that we were very intimidated by, but I think, again, from Zanzi and the rest of the gents out there, just to encourage you to get involved in these conversations. I think as much as it can come from an institutional level, I think now is the time to change the narrative and break all these norms that we've grown up in. The world is changing, and so should our perceptions. So my message to gents out there is just to listen, pay attention, and realize what beautiful women are and how much they can really empower us as gentlemen. We are holding ourselves back without allowing that to come into our lives. And I think what you said just hits the nail on the head there. It's human rights at the end of the day. So let's start practicing that. This is the way forward, people. Welcome to the new world. Welcome to a world where women are the future, they are the power, and we need to cherish them. So I encourage all the gents out there to do so. And I can't thank you enough, Asha, for sharing all your knowledge and educating all of us on such a pertinent topic. It's all about equality, and I want to see more of that in the world. Thank you.
Pleasure.
All right. So much more magic coming through on the show. Let's see what the gents are up to.